Yeah, Rob Cooley. I think you introduced me as a new entrepreneur. I think I'm part of the new entrepreneur, not a new one. So kind of been around a while. I'm broken, I'm hurt, I'm tired, I don't sleep. And so really what we're going to try to do is we're not going to talk to a river, we're going to talk to your brain. So a little thing like that. So what are we doing? We're going to harness the brain to unlock and unleash the amazing potential in the brain. We do that to transform personal precision, healthcare, wellness, and performance. I have a clicker. And we start by solving the sleep epidemic first. Just a little bit of why. As I mentioned, I'm broken, I can't sleep. I really need to get a little sleep. And I'm like about half of society that says that we don't sleep very well, and we need to get better. The tools that we have are not good. The things that we're doing aren't working, but we're going to change that. So let's just talk about sleep. More than half of us say we don't sleep, and if you look at certain demographics, i.e. veterans, first responders, kind of military, that number goes up dramatically. Part of the lifestyle, part of society, everybody's stressed. Regardless of what you get to a sleepless state, you are sleepless. So this is all part one. Part one of the problem is we don't get enough sleep. 50%. And the numbers are growing. And the tools that we have, which is part two, and I'll mention that in a second, are even worse. But the problem is short-term sleep deprivation is dangerous. You make decisions that are poor, or you slip, physically slip. When you have chronic sleep loss, it's actually dangerous. Sleep affects every system of the body. For our doctors in here, for those who sleep well, it's a good day. Those who have a good day have a good week. Those who have a good weeks have good lives. If you're not sleeping well enough, then you're not going to have that great life. So that's problem part one. And by the way, as a person who's frantic to get more sleep, I'm talking about absolutely frantic to get another 15 minutes of sleep. I'll spend almost anything. So we're spending north of $120 billion a year in the sleep space. Doesn't even include the lost productivity to those who are tired and fatigued in our society and our employers. All right, so here's what we're using today. I don't know about you, but I've tried all those. I've been to sleep apnea. I've had stuff glued to my head. I've tried the in-home process. Look, I'm in a veteran sleep system or study right now on this Garmin device. It said I slept well for 8.5 hours last night. I wasn't even in the bedroom for 5. Right? So if you look on the back, the optical sensors, they just don't work. They don't give you the right, accurate data to make good decisions about sleep. These devices are great for other applications, 100%, but they're not really good for the true categorization of sleep. So if we're having bad devices, giving bad information, we probably shouldn't expect much of a better change. So what are we going to do? We're going to change the way we collect this data. We are going to meet humans where they are. So instead of devices or things glued to your head or mattresses that measure snoring, we're going to actually create fabric as a sensor. So the materials are going to be the sensing modality to collect brainwaves. So on the bottom, our first one is a pillowcase. So as easy as going to sleep in your home at night, God bless, we will be able to track your brainwaves. Then we're going to move that to a compression wear t-shirt. And then the wristband materials and wearables. Not changing what humans do, but changing the kind of information that we can collect from that. And then it's going to be a standard kind of data analytics model. We collect, we assess, we monitor, we run unique, specific algorithms against your sleep data to categorize sleep first. Then we use the power of predictive and prescriptive AI to use the brain to be the leading indicator of neurological disease or mental health considerations or depression or onset dementia, because the brain, much like you're trying to talk to a river, often has a hard time to have the body kind of respond back to it and understand it. But the signals are there and changes the sleep. So sleep disturbances and sleep anomalies are those leading indicators. We just can't understand the physical response yet until it's too late. So what we're going to do is neurodata is the absolute next frontier. We're going to unlock it and harness it and give it back to us to make decisions. We will have humans in the loop, but it's important for us to use this data more specifically. It's not the need to collect more data, it's to collect the right data and use it in the right manners. So if you look at a couple people out there, we've talked about people that measure, and everybody's in the sleep space. You have furniture that's measuring snoring, you have people that are putting devices on your head, you have Elon Musk drilling a hole into your skull and putting a sensor in there, very specific, but we're trying to get away from that. Because it's really important that we do this where the humans are. We do it very specifically, we do it very thoughtfully, we have to protect the data that we're collecting, and then what we do is we turn it around and we give it back to usable formats. It is really amazing the way that we're going to do this. If you look at us, most of the big data aggregators, and so there's a couple of them circled in some red boxes, pharmaceutical companies, they're all interested in not the type of device to collect. They're agnostic many times. It's the data that they want to use, and then using the science and the math to look at it more aggressively and more quicker.
So people have said to us, hey Rob, there's no way for you to collect brain waves without something glued to your head. Gold standard is electroencephalogram. It's only been around for 120 years or so. So people are very comfortable with that technology, but it requires you to glue stuff on your head. We said there's a different way. Materials now have advanced. The science behind those materials have advanced and allows us to use, actually, materials to be conductive and collect brainwaves. So on the left-hand side is our prototype being studied by Dr. Alex McDaniel at UNCW. On the right-hand side, it shows our efficacy of our science. So at the top, the blue is the gold standard EEG. So our participants had the gold standard on their forehead. Our green waves on the bottom show the correlation between our data that we're collecting, so our brainwave against the actual EEG. So yes, this does work. So the science fiction is gone. It's pretty amazing. Now we're moving on to our next set of materials. Okay, so market's big. We talked about how big it was, but the market is really interesting from a knock-on effect. Right, so we're going to go direct to consumer, right? We're going to have pillowcases with a SaaS model to allow you to look at your data and make predictions and improve your sleep. The knock-on effect is these same materials that can be licensed to Nike, Lululemon, anybody else in the material space that says they're playing in sleep. Mattresses, those same mattresses that are measuring snoring will now, no kidding, be able to measure brainwave information. Further knock-on effect is how we use this. Once I collect 1,000 Robs, 10,000 Morrises, I can use this data stack and be very, very thoughtful. I can look forwards to look backwards. So those anomalies will be indicated based on looking at your trended sleep analysis, and I trend it all together. I can then be more general and specific at the same time to look for those problems. So when I say sleep anomalies or sleep disturbances are the leading indicators, we'll be able to run a unique algorithm against your neurodata stack to look for particular conditions. That's pretty amazing. The idea is that we have earliest identification of problem, earliest intervention of problem, means better outcomes for the humans. We de-risk through partnership. Everybody here almost in this room is a partner of ours. We've mentioned a couple of them. Emil, we're now in the launch upstairs in Chapel Hill. We work with UNCW. We're talking about our prototypes being tested. We're doing some papers and some publications. We are part of the research hub for UNCW in their brain health hub. We're one of their Planck founding members. We work with Johns Hopkins. We just won our first non-dilutive grant from the Advanced Functional Fabrics of America. This is the combination of the DoD, Department of Defense, and US government, which means that we have external validation that our warfighters understand the value of improved sleep in our materials and our science, so does the consumer. And then we look across the bottom of the best sleep institutes in the world to actually test the efficacy of our science. So our team's pretty amazing. 11 PhDs, everybody has neuro in their title except for me. 3 clinicians, 3 of the best sleep docs around the world. I am a former corporate venture guy with Philips Medical Systems, so I understand patient monitoring, clinical informatics, data, analytics, all that kind of stuff, which is great. Angel investor here, retired general officer from the Army, so I fully understand the importance of what it means for our warfighters to get some more sleep. That's a huge market. And then just a thing called a serial life science entrepreneur. We are good at what we do. This team is amazing. All of them have been naysayers in the beginning. Now we brought them on as advocates, and they're kind of tooting the horn for us. So what are we asking for? 1.5 million units of advice. We've raised about 500,000 of those units of advice already. We're excited. These units of advice will help us get to kind of an MVP at this time next year. We are very judicious in the way we operate. We're a virtual company. It's a neurodata science company. We're truly excited about where we are today and would love for your advice to come on board at some point in our advisory cap table. Thank you guys very much. Appreciate it.